Hey, this is Kirk.
And this is Byrd. It's the Kirk and Byrd Show, and we are joined today with returning guest and Alden Yergey, a former Brentsville District basketball star, and now she's doing her thing at Siena. Welcome to the show, Alden.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. I'm so glad we got you. Thank you for being on the show. Kirk, why don't you tell folks now where they can find us and all that stuff?
Yeah. So our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe to us. And you can get notifications. And then we are on other platforms. Rather than name all of them, just Google the Kirk and Byrd Show and they'll all come up. And then also check us out on there's a Facebook forum for us, the Nova High School Sports 703-540. And we're really going to pick that back up because it's already late June and football is going to be starting here in about 6 weeks. And we're going to put a lot of content on that. Of course, we want to promote the Real Prince William Sports Facebook page, which has thousands of followers, and there's a lot of good content on there. There's a lot of good discussion. Jay Golson runs that.
Unfortunately, you have to deal with Jay.
Yeah, but Jay's on there. Jay does a great job, though, but he's taking a lot of stuff for like athletes like Alden when she, commits to Siena or, recruiting visits, and there's a lot of good things going on. So check those out and feel free to share this with anybody, parents of athletes, if you're on a team, your teammates, the coaches, all that good stuff. This new social media phenomenon that the kids are so used to, but for us older folks. So feel free to like this and then share it with other people and you can send it out. All right.
So Alden, thanks again for joining the show. You are a star basketball player at Brentsville District High School. You led them to their first ever state finals. All right. And then in your career, you put up a lot of points. You averaged over 25 points a game as a senior. I think you averaged more than that your junior year. Is that what year? Or your
Yeah,
sophomore year?
I think my
When
junior year was my highest.
it was almost 30 points, right?
It was anywhere. It was between, I'd say like 26, 27,
Okay. All right.
just right
All
around
right.
there.
And then you were, first team all district player of the year, all region, all state player. A number of times you were two-time team captain, and you were an outstanding student, being on a member of the principal's honor roll. And you just brought such great pride to Prince William County. Two things I remember: it was awesome to see you play at VCU at the Siegel Center. I'm a VCU grad, but when you all beat Meridian, yo, we lost our mind that night. I think we were at Patriot, right, Kirk? State
Oscar
quarterfinals.
Smith. They were playing Oscar Smith at Patriot, I think.
Yeah, season before last,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
Yep.
but that was because they had beaten you all like in the districts, I think in
hmm
the regional, and then you got them in was the
We were,
semis.
it was the state semis. We were 0 and 11 my
That's
whole
right.
high school career up till then. And then the biggest matchup, yeah, in the state semis we ended up.
Yeah, and you had to play there,
hmm
right?
Well,
Yeah,
it was at a neutral location. I
that's
think it was
right,
at
because it was the
Madison,
semis.
but like
That's
it was
right
basically a home game for them, in my
for
opinion.
them.
But
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
turned into a big rivalry in multiple sports too, by the way, Brentsville and Meridian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, I'm telling you, because I started watching it on my phone while we were at the Patriot game, and then people were like, "Oh, look at much, what's going on? What's going on?" I'm giving updates, and then when y'all won, we just like, oh, we lost it. So that was a great experience as a Brentsville District in Prince William County resident. That was great, but you finished your senior year and you committed to and you played this past year at Siena. So we're going to get into that. We're going to find out about your freshman year. So starting out, just tell us what was your freshman year, the basketball season like?
Man, it was so much fun. Um, Super hard, like, but I'd say it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I love my team. My teammates are great. I've created lifelong like bonds, friendships with them. My coaches, great. I've learned so much, like so many basketball things that I like details that I would have never thought of. But like the bigger picture, like I just grew as a person, my discipline, um, just everything like that. I have one of my favorite things about Siena is we have so many international teammates. So like I learned so many things about like the world, not just, going from Virginia to New York, you're obviously going to learn. It's still East Coast, but it's still a different little vibe. But then when you have like international teammates, it's like you learn just so much about the whole world. And eventually, like my dream is to go play overseas. Um, but yeah, my freshman year, it was super rewarding. We fell short as a team. I personally didn't reach a lot of the goals that I wanted to. Um, we lost in the conference semifinals. Um, but yeah, great experience. Like wouldn't trade the ups and downs for the world.
Yeah, yeah. You all had a winning record. Overall for the year, you were it looks like you were what, 18-12. That's
Mhm.
you won 14 out of 20 conference games. You were 14-6 in the conference. And you all actually a pretty good program, and you play a great Division 1 schedule. What was the adjustment like going from not just high school but to Division 1 college? And I'll say this, not to take away anything in terms of your competition, because you played great teams in high school, but you were playing Class 3. All right.
Mhm.
And so I think some people, I don't look down on, but some people may look down just because your school isn't as large as other
Yeah.
schools. This isn't football. You can have 12 really good players in Class 3, but tell me, so you went from playing Class 3 and extremely a great deal of success to playing Division 1 college basketball. How was that transition?
Yeah, definitely a big jump. I got experience like AAU playing against, some of the best players in the country, but it's definitely a different ball game. I'm playing against grown women, these aren't high schoolers
Yeah,
anymore. These ladies are in their like 20s.
yeah.
Um, so
And
that
with
was,
the COVID years, some could be
yeah,
23,
yeah,
24.
you never know. You never
Yeah.
know. Could be paying mortgages. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I'd say like the size of them, the
Yeah.
athleticism, they're like I said, they have instead of just like in high school, you maybe come across a couple girls who have like a couple years of weight room experience, but here, like you could tell that these grown women have been like in the weight room, in the gym, perfecting their craft. Um, so yeah, the height too, a lot more 6 footers. I remember at the beginning I was getting my shot blocked like crazy. Um, but yeah, I had to adjust in my play style a little bit, like how I attacked angles. I'm not the fastest person on the court anymore, so I had to attack hips. On defense, I had to work on my lateral quickness and just like getting to a spot, cutting people off, a lot of small details. Um, but yeah, the strength, I would get pushed around, taking charges. Oh my gosh. One of my favorite things to do is take a charge, right? I just love taking
Okay,
a
okay.
charge, right? In high school, I'd bounce right back up. I'd hit the ground, I get bounced right back up. I'm good, coach. I can stay in the game. Some of these charges I took would take me out. I have to get subbed out, get checked, like have to balance, make sure trainer had to make sure I'm good to go back in. Um, but yeah, just the sheer size and athleticism of some of the people I played against was probably the biggest adjustment.
Yeah. I was saying before that, size is going to be, you're going to that next level, right? And you're no longer a taller guard. You're
Mhm.
a guard, and you got many guards taller than you, and then everybody else is taller. And
Yeah.
then the skill level is higher. The speed of the game is higher. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about, what about the intensity, right? You talked about girls in the weight room, the intensity, things like that. Like how big of a change or shock was that to you? You've already explained it a little bit, but when you first got there, you started playing. It's like, oh well, this has got to be a different level, because I looked at the roster and you've got teammates from all over the world, right? They've been playing basketball for a long time. How big was that? Like, oh, you've already explained me. Like, what was the biggest thing that stood out besides the size and the speed?
Yeah, I would say you said intensity, and the big one. You know, in high school, you have a handful of girls who really love the game and who really like dedicated like their free time to getting in the gym. And in high school, it's the best player, the most passionate player. I mean, well, sorry, in college, it's the most passionate player from each high school. So, and it's honestly like so great being around like-minded people every day. Like being able to just like be like, hey, you want to come to the gym? And like you'll always have a workout partner, you know, there's always somebody um who just has the same drive to get better. And that's just super cool. I feel like I can relate to my college teammates on a different level in that sense. But at the same time, while those people are on your team, you're also playing against these people who are in the gym every day. Um, so it's a constant, like you gotta, like when you think you're outworking somebody, there's always another person. So you always gotta try to work out them. And at the end of the day, you're just never quite working hard enough. And that's like, it's a hard mindset, but it's what you gotta do. You just keep pushing. So I'd say it's definitely more intense for sure.
Yeah, when you talked about, the size and athleticism, in high school, you may have a team that has a really tall player, or some kids that are really athletic, but they're going to be tall and they're athletic, and
Mm.
like, like, oh
And can
yeah,
shoot.
she block
And got a hand.
and can shoot, right, right, like, yeah, she's 6'2", but she all she can do is hit layups. No,
Exactly.
out there, there she can drain the threes. So yeah, I know that is an adjustment. Um, Let me ask you this: you say you really enjoyed your first year. Do you think when you look back and you clearly enjoyed it, but do you think it was the right fit? And the reason that Siena was the right fit, I know you were recruited by other schools, but I'll tell you, I've seen athletes pick a school just because it sounds good. Like, but like I know people that have gone to ACC schools didn't get any playing time or not a lot of playing time, and then by the time they figured it out, like they were like, they're not happy, so then they transfer, you know. And so, do you feel like, hey, I could have played at another level of Division 1, or I could have played at another level higher or lower in terms, this is what ranked conferences maybe ranked, or even schools within your conference.
Mhm.
But do you feel like you were at the right place for
One,
you?
yeah, 1000%. Like I can say that with complete confidence. You know, I was getting recruited by other schools who maybe had more of like the bells and the whistles, the facility,
Mhm.
you know, maybe Nike were Under Armour, so maybe,
Right,
Nike team. But at
right.
the end of the day, like I won't be happy like as a person if I'm not like confident in what I'm doing on the court. And so that was my biggest priority. I really didn't care about the other stuff. Um, and at the end of the day, it was the coaches, the play style, and my teammates. And that's truthfully all I care about. And I have the best coaches, I think. Like they're great. Not only like are they great basketball minds, but they're just great people to be around every day and like learn from and grow from. My teammates, great. Like they're like I mentioned before, like lifelong. I know I'm gonna be at their weddings, they're gonna be at mine. Definitely a great support system. And then on the court, like we get a lot of freedom. The style of play I really enjoy. So yeah, I truthfully believe like the people is what makes it a fit or not. And the people here at Siena are definitely the people for me. So yeah, super happy.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that, because I think a lot of the young athletes out there need to hear that. And it's not just for women's basketball, but it's for football, it's for men's basketball, it's baseball, it's finding the right fit. My son, who's a freshman this year in college, he had a number of opportunities, but it was the one school he was like, no, this feels like home.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was impressed because she told me that her dorm did not have air conditioning. And the reason why I'm impressed is because my dorm did not have air conditioning. And, we both going to schools in the mountains, but, that's a school with 3,500 undergrad. And then, it's a good distance from home, but it's not super far from home.
Mhm.
So outside of athletics, how was it the first year? Living on your own, living away from home. You get the food, you've got academics, you've got the rigorous schedule of an athlete, you've got a social life and all that. So tell us about, life at Siena away from basketball.
Yeah. So obviously this is my first time like away from my parents for real. They're great. I'm the baby, so like they come to a lot of games. So I see them pretty often. Um and truthfully, like during the season, this might sound harsh, but it's the truth. You don't have time to be homesick, right? You got so much going on. You're just thinking about how you got to get all this work done. You're not, and I call my parents every day, but like I just didn't have time to be homesick for real. Um, but there were definitely some things like living on my own for the first time. Like I don't want to sound spoiled. And actually, I'm hesitant to even say this, but at home, okay, I'll just put it this way. My mom, she's just the best ever at doing laundry.
I was going to ask you, I bet
Right.
you,
Like,
I was going to say, did you
That
do
is
your own laundry?
like just the greatest of all time. And like, who am I? And most people are like, oh, Alden, like, you should have done your laundry at home. But who am I? Like, how are you gonna sub Michael Jordan out of the game
right.
with his daughter in? No, you're gonna
Right.
let the goat do their thing. You're gonna let the mom do the laundry. So yeah, but obviously I get here. Definitely have some pink socks, ruin some, you know, some articles of clothing here and there. So that was a bit of adjustment. Also, like food, my mom or my parents wouldn't always cook every night, but like sometimes I just wanted to come back to my room and have like a meal, a home cooked meal
Right.
for me. But no, I have to walk to the dining hall or order it. I had to learn how to budget my money, groceries and stuff like that.
Yep.
Just these adult things that are necessary for life. A lot of it was trial and error, I won't lie. Um, but definitely valuable experiences.
How was the food, by the way? That's a big deal now.
Yeah. Um, hmm. It's it's what it needs to be, you know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
we have a couple different dining options on campus. Um, some of them are good, but like after a while, you just get tired of it. But at the end of the day, as long as I got my protein, my pasta or rice, and my vegetables, like it's always a well-balanced meal.
Right.
Doesn't always taste the best, but it does what it needs to do.
Was your dorm situation, were you in like in an athletic dorm, or were you just in a dorm with everybody else? How'd that work?
Yeah, no, so we were just thrown in with everybody else.
I like that.
Yeah, it was definitely the freshman experience, you know, loud, nasty dorm. But I roomed with my teammate, which was great. We were on the same schedule. She was honestly the best roommate. Like, I've heard horror stories, but super understanding, considerate. So it wasn't too bad. We made it work.
That's good. That is good. I'm glad to hear that. Um, so in this year, I'm sorry, this season, you actually you got some playing time. You did work out there as a freshman. I saw some of your season and highlights. And so it said how many games you had, where your most points, your minutes and things like that. So, um, tell us what was your, because I in looking at some of your stats, I see that your high for a game was 14 points. I see you hit three threes in the game. You've played 30 minutes in games, but was there, and not just because maybe this is a game you score points, so you had this, but what was your favorite game of the year?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I would say we played Mount St. Mary's at home
Hmm.
towards the end of the season.
Mm,
Um, and I think I might have scored double figures that game, but it's not why it was my favorite game. My parents were there and like their friends were there. Um, oh my gosh, wait, no, I changed my mind. I completely changed my mind. It was still Mount St. Mary's, but it was at Mount St. Mary's.
That's close.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yep.
and so that was close. I think I scored like 6 points. I actually don't think I played well. But because it's in Maryland, it's close, it's the closest game to home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
like I think I had like 30 tickets. Just so many people
Oh
would come
yeah.
up and support me. And like it was just like we ended up winning the game. The game was great, but it was my favorite just because like the support, like
Yeah.
just my friends, my family, seeing them all in the stands, it was just so, so special. Like it was just such a great moment. People that supported me, my first ever basketball coach when I was like 7, he was there,
Oh,
which was so special. So yeah, 100% that game.
cool. That's what I like to hear.
Share with us, you're studying philosophy, and how did that go? We talked about the fact that Phil Jackson, the great
Mhm.
coach, was a philosophy major, and you mentioned some very interesting things that you've taken. Like, how was studying that, and then that whole experience of the academics, along with the rigorous schedule of a D1 athlete, and then also being a college student, have a little bit of fun.
Yeah. So I came in a psych a psych major.
Okay.
I was so like locked in on that. Um, and it kind of, and then I was taking a philosophy, like intro to philosophy class on the side, and I started really enjoying this philosophy class, and my psych class was like a little too like researchy. It
Yeah.
was still very interesting. Like I think I'm still minoring in psych actually. And I think it's such valuable information, but philosophy just like consumed me. Like we were talking about like what is real, like what is fake, like and almost have a love-hate relationship with it because it's like trying to answer questions that don't have an answer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just think it's the most interesting thing. I could talk about it forever. Don't know what I'm gonna use it for in the future. But I think it's definitely teaches you critical thinking, and that's just valuable in any field. And then in terms of balancing it all, like I mentioned before, we have a great support system. We have a great academic advisor and like weekly check-ins, meetings. We have people who like really make sure that you stay on top of everything. We had to do study hall, get a certain number of hours every week. Um, but balancing everything, it was easier out of season, like the couple
Yeah.
months like at the very beginning of the fall and then the couple weeks in the spring. But in season, like when it comes to athletics, academics, and social life, you can't have you just don't have a social life when it comes to like practices and everything. And I would say some people make it work, but if you have a social life, it means like one of the other areas there's something has to give. You know, you're either not getting enough sleep, you're not, studying enough. So for me at least, I just could not. I'd socialize with my teammates, in the
That's
locker
what I
room.
was going to say, because when you're a member of an athletic team, a lot of times that's your sorority or your fraternity, that's your
Exactly.
group. But let's say this, even in season, you still got to go grab a meal together and all of that. And I'm thinking there's very limited time. But my
Yeah.
question is, we talked about, like, got a little bit of ties to Albany, but what's that scene like there? In other words, where is Siena in the city? Rusty went to VCU in Richmond. Richmond's a great town, by the way, and the way VCU is situated is nice. I went to Tech in Blacksburg, and that's a great little setup. How was it? How is it? What part of town is it in? Do you guys have your own little part and little places that are like Siena hangouts? How was that?
Yeah. So Sienna is right outside of Albany. Um,
Okay.
I have a couple local teammates who have lived here their whole life, and they've been
Mm-hmm.
great, just like showing us fun spots, to go eat, like little parks and stuff. And then like 30 minutes north is Saratoga, and there's a lot going
Oh yeah.
up there, like the track and everything, some great parks, like festivals and all that.
Mhm.
Um, but in terms of like Siena in close like 5-minute proximity, it's in Loudonville, which there's really not a whole lot going on, but
Right.
there's a Walmart, there's the necessities, gas station, CVS, some food spots. That's really all I need. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely weekends where we have more free time, we'll definitely do some exploring and it's not a bad area. I enjoy it.
Mhm.
My wife, her dad, his job, they traveled. He had to move a lot. He was with the company he was with, and she lived for about 4 years in Poughkeepsie. So I know that's south of where you are. And my wife, this was years ago. We took our kids. We did the whole like it was. We drove all around like New York, we went to Canada and all, but we stopped at where she used to live. We went to Cooperstown, and you're not that far from Cooperstown, New York, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is.
Mm.
But Kirk talked about not having AC, but in that part of the state and the country, like you don't really need to probably invest in a lot of AC because it's right up there in terms of being north, but you also have the mountains and all that, and it's only going to be
Yeah.
summer for a couple of weeks, and then it's like boom, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
Big snowstorms up here. I was not ready for that.
Yep.
And like the thing is, they still made you go to school.
Oh
Like I
yeah,
didn't
oh yeah.
walk, but like I was like checking my phone, refreshing to see if class is
They
canceled.
have the equipment up there. They're used to it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I tell you, Alden, one of the things I was going to ask you about is when you go somewhere different, um, because that's like a 7 hour drive. I just looked it up. It's like six and a half from here. But what I noticed is like when I was your age, it was like there were grocery stores I had never heard of. There were like ice cream stores I had never heard of. I mean, Stu Leonard's, that's a New York, Connecticut thing. Never heard of that. You know, all these different things, and you get used to, you know, there's different, and I think that's one of the great parts, you know, of going away. And then what I wanted to ask you was, okay, New York State is a lot different than New York City. You know, a lot of people, it's like a different world. But what were some of the things that you noticed, right? Like up in Albany, New York, that were different than here. Maybe some of the things that stood out, maybe, you know, whether it be the way people talk or, you know, I've noticed that, you know, a lot of little things being exposed to people from the north.
Yeah. So the biggest thing was I had no idea what a Stewart's was.
Yep.
And when I tell you there's a Stewart's every like you can see another Stewart's from a Stewart's. They're everywhere. It's insane. Great little spot though. Usually have ice cream, have some necessities. And then yeah, the accents. Like Siena is one of those schools that like a lot of people in the area go to, like not a lot of out of state people. So a lot of upstate New Yorkers have this distinct little accent. It's pretty fun. But yeah, I'd say those are the two biggest things, I would say.
Yep. How much time did you get off? Because you know, there's not a lot of time from the end of school, and you're back there now, and it's just like the
Yeah.
3rd of June.
So yeah, so I came back early. I left, I actually ended up after the season, I had two foot surgeries.
Mm,
Um, I don't know if you guys remember my feet issues my senior year.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
it's like that. They found like it was a whole another thing. Um, so yeah, I had to get surgery on both feet. So I stayed a little longer because like the foot doctor up here in Albany is the one who did it. I came home for like 3 to 4 weeks. This whole time I couldn't walk. This whole time I was at home, both my feet were like wrapped up. I was recovering from this surgery.
Oh,
And then I ended up coming back 2 weeks. So you're supposed to get 6 weeks off, like after school and then our summer session. But I got like 3 to 4. I came back just to rehab, just to lift. I can't drive, so like here I can just, walk to the gym. We got the underwater treadmill here. All of like the doctors and specialists are up here. So I got a little bit of a shorter break, but yeah, usually it's 6 weeks.
okay.
okay.
Wow.
And your arch rival is Albany, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's probably in all sports. But so I see you guys lost to them, but what was the atmosphere like in that game? I know my son's the school he went to. They played, and their arch rival was this college just closest to them, and they hate each other. But what about you guys?
Yeah. I would say hate is an appropriate word. Um, we did we did lose to them. It's called the Albany Cup. Um,
Yeah, okay.
and so every year we play them. I think it alternates like location each time.
Mhm.
But yeah, we did lose this year, but it was I like knew it was a big game, like I heard about it. Um and like while it was a rivalry, there was a lot of media leading up to the game, after the game. But at the end of the day, like while rivalries are super special, like I was just trying to win the game. But the atmosphere in that gym, like you could
Yeah.
feel the beef in the air, if
Yep.
that makes
Yep.
sense. So it was fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. What was it? Was it like the Brentsville Meridian rivalry?
A little bit, I will say a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so this was your freshman year. Um, Tell us what are you looking forward to next year as a sophomore?
Oh man. There's so much. So the rest of the team gets here on Sunday. Um, and I just think the world of like our freshmen coming in. We have a transfer and they all just seem like ready to get to work. They fit like our culture and our standards here. Super excited about our new coach. He's great. He's like the most passionate person I've ever met when it comes to basketball. Um, just super fun
And
to
who
be
and who
around.
who is that? Is that Coach Prim?
Yeah, Coach Prem. So he was our assistant. He
He
ended
was
up
an
taking
assistant.
over. So nothing
Yeah,
really gonna change. But
that's
yeah,
great.
such a great guy. He has a lot of big plans for our team, like not just like winning, like he knows we're gonna win, but like just in terms of growing the game and helping the community. I'd say like the thing I'm most excited for is like taking some of these freshmen under my wing, like having a bit more of a leadership role.
Hmm.
Because last year I was just trying to soak it all in, and now
Hmm.
they're in that position, and I can help guide them, give them advice, but also like, experience is the best teacher. So some days just throw them in the fire. Um, so yeah, I'm just excited. I think I just know we're gonna work really hard and um, definitely have hopefully more success than last year.
And your role is going to expand also. You're going to play more, and you must be excited about that. And then talk about that, like what you're looking forward to, because you're not the new kid on the block anymore,
Yeah,
right? You've gotten used to a lot of that, and about the team because you guys got some critical parts coming back.
yeah. So for me, I definitely want looking to have a bigger role, be more assertive. I have a year under my belt. I know the game, I know the conference. So like I to an extent know what to expect. And then yeah, our team, we have a lot of strong returners. So we're just gonna keep building. We have 7 newcomers, which is a lot,
Yep.
but we're keeping like our same core who have been through it, who have been here, know the system, know the standards that we want to keep. So yeah, I'm really excited for the just the whole direction of Siena women's basketball.
Yep. We were all talking, and Rusty, I know you want to segue to this, but you know, the past couple of years in women's basketball, especially the college game, has been unbelievable. Caitlin Clark, she's become a superstar, and then Angel Reese, and then year before last, Virginia Tech made it the Final Four. By the way, they had LSU on the ropes too, but there's been all of this attention, and I know some of that's got to come down on you being a Division I basketball. I mean, what's your take on that? And how do you think it's affected you in Albany and Siena and the high school teams back in Knoxville, Virginia?
Yeah, I think it's great. Like you mentioned, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, like those big time players, Camila Cardozo, like they've all with their skill, they've brought so many new eyes to the game. And I think people are starting to like really appreciate the game for what it is, There'll always be the comparisons like between the men's game, but the women's game is just so different and I just love that people are paying attention. And with this attention comes more media exposure
Mm-hmm.
and just more overall support, so there's just more opportunities for like us women, especially when it comes to NIL.
Yeah.
That's a
Hmm.
big thing. So yeah, I think it's having definitely having a ripple effect and I just want to like extend like the effects, like younger girls in high school just to, keep pushing. So I think it's great. I'm super happy to see the game expanding because when it opens doors for one person, it opens doors for like like I said, it's a ripple effect. So I think it's great.
Yeah, okay, so great. Look, I did want to ask you this. What advice, you just finished your freshman year, what advice would you give young athletes that are in high school now, maybe even middle school? What would advice would you give them if they want to play a college sport? It doesn't even have to be basketball. It could be softball, tennis. But what advice would you give them?
Yeah. I think, well, just one of the biggest things I learned, and I think this is valuable, um, like my whole mindset coming here kind of changed, like when it comes to like how I approached my work and everything. At at first I was so goal driven. You know, I think it's great to have goals. Like everybody needs to have goals. But I was so focused on the results. I put such high expectations on myself.
Right.
And when I didn't meet them, I would be crushed. Like my confidence would go down. I remember I wouldn't sleep. Like I went through a stretch where I had a couple bad games just because like I was being so hard on myself. So I think to like a younger athlete, I would say focus on just getting better today, like brick by brick. You know, like you look at this brick wall with like hundreds of bricks on it and you're like, well, man, I can't build that, right? But if you just every day lay a brick before you know it and just focus on the mundane, the consistency, the boring, people might say, but before you know it, you'll have this super solid foundation. And it completely shifted my mindset around. I went from like beating myself up every day to going into practice lift, whatever it may be, rehabbing, getting treatment, and just giving my all to every rep. You know, my individual shooting workouts, just giving my all to every single rep. And then I could sleep well, knowing that, you know, I gave today my best effort. And when you just stack days like that, I think it's a lot healthier mentally, and I think you'll see a lot more success. So I would just say have goals definitely, but don't be so results driven. Um, Consistency and the mundane and the repetition is where I think the real growth and confidence and success comes from.
That's a really mature. I tell you, 19 years old, I didn't think like that. It's funny that you say that. You talk about the goals. Because Rusty, how about the saying is like, what advice would you give to yourself, as a 19 or 20-year old? Is that is like that advice would be to me would be don't be so hard on yourself, and then also give yourself a break. But like you're talking about those goals, you're always looking in the future. You're always looking at this when I get this, when I do this, when I do. And it's like you kind of like you don't enjoy the process of
Yeah.
getting there. And that's what I would change. And it sounds like you're already getting a handle on that, and you're probably having a lot more fun too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was rough. I actually, you mentioned grace. I changed my wallpaper on my phone. It says give yourself grace because
Mhm.
that is
Mm.
hard. That is hard for me. Like the way I was always like wired is you're not working hard enough, Alden. But when you truly give your all, then I think you deserve grace. Like when you truly like work yourself as hard as you possibly can and empty the tank every day, then yeah, like you enjoy like you deserve a little bit of grace. But I think grace is earned, right? You can't just show up and give yourself grace. You can't just not give your all. Like I don't think that deserves grace. But yeah, this approach definitely helped me stay present and just enjoy the experience a lot more, I'd say.
Yeah, that's great.
Still
That is
working on
great.
it too. There's still days where I still beat myself up, but it's just constant reminding. So,
No, you're back up there. Are you going to summer session?
taking a
Okay.
class and everything.
Yeah, and that helps a lot too. I went to summer school one summer. I really wish I would have gone more than one summer because it was very rewarding, and I actually learned more in those classes,
Hmm.
and then it made the overall academic load more spread out. So again, in the summers, I'm sure are very nice up there.
Before we wrap this up, I know we've had you on the show before and we've asked you those things like, oh, what is Alden like outside of basketball? So I want to do it now from your current perspective. So we know you're a basketball player, but and we know some of the things that you had to do in school, but outside of basketball, what are some of the things that you were doing just being Alden as a freshman in college? What are some things you do? Did you still maybe watch? Did you stream some of the same shows? Did you tend to call people more? Like what is Alden doing outside of the typical college life?
Yeah. Um, so I definitely with basketball as it is, it's a lot more intense, like we touched on. It's more business like. So I definitely searched for some outlets, to get my
Mhm.
mind off of it. It's just kind of random, but I picked up knitting,
Okay.
All
right?
right.
I can only knit like a box, like a rag or something. That's all I've ever knitted. But it's just something about like it's so zen, it's so boring. Like you could put a show on and do it.
Yeah.
I'll probably mess up if I'm not focused. Um,
And you're talking about knitting with yarn, right? Because I'm
yeah,
sure there's more than one knitting, but the old school knitting with yarn
yeah,
and okay,
like grandma,
right.
Yeah, yeah.
grandma
We were
knitting.
just talking about that. My wife's family reunion this past weekend, and my wife's grandmother. That's how you knew she like, cause she was always making something,
Hmm.
and if she gave you something, oh, you knew you were in. So
Yeah.
What gave you that idea though? Where'd that come from? You just picked it up, you heard
Um,
about it, or was it somebody else?
I don't know. I don't remember where it came from.
Okay, that's cool.
But it just was weird, like what 19-year-old knits. So I just thought I'd give it a try. But other than that, I still watching the same shows here and there, listen to music. Siena has a great campus. So I'd go on a lot of walks,
Mhm.
oh,
take some pictures. I got me a little camera. So I do some photography here and there.
Yeah.
Um, when I was um when I was bedridden and couldn't walk because of my foot surgery, I read a lot.
mm.
So I got some good books, but
Oh, okay. So this brings me to something. My wife, when I got home tonight, she said she's reading something. So my wife and I, we read differently. Alden, do you count it reading if you actually read the book or if you have it on audio? Is it do I because I don't read as much, but I still go through books, and especially like on long trips, like I forget which one I just listened to, and I'm like, yeah, I read that book. My wife, you did not read the book. What is your
Mhm.
thought, Alden? Is it count if you listen to it, or do you have to actually read it?
So I think it's valid. I've listened to a tons of books. But no, I don't think it counts because there's something about like just giving your undivided attention to a book. When you're listening to it, you could be cooking, cleaning, doing
You got to
whatever.
look at the words, and you got yeah.
Yeah,
You nailed that one. I like that.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
something just about you and the book, you know? You can't smell an
Okay.
audiobook. I don't want to sound like a nerd, but I don't know.
But
I
you
don't think it
but you
counts.
kind of are, right?
I
Oh
just
no,
ordered a
just
book too, and I wanted the hardcover as opposed to
no,
the paperback too. That's a big
hold on.
thing for me.
I just want to point something out. I'm sitting here. Member of Principals Honor Roll. That spells nerd to me. I'm just saying.
I can't help it. Sorry.
No, you're not a nerd. You got mad game and you're really cool. Do
Yeah.
you have anything? I have one last question, but I'll see if you have anything.
Now, you know, I would think this year is going to be a big year. You know, you're going to play a more significant role. You're more comfortable there. You know, you've done a few loads of laundry. You know, you put the whites with the darks, and you always wash those darks on cold regardless, and you don't mix them up. And I did that the other day, by the way. I don't know what it was, but I managed to run a shirt. Still do it, but no. But I just in if you got our email, please, as a reminder, life gets busy. Let us know when you're going to be at Mount St. Mary's because that's only like right up the road. Or it's just not that far from you, but I'm in Leesburg, so
Yeah, you're really
you go
close.
15. It's quick. I mean,
Right.
I can get to Gettysburg in no time, so I could be to Mount St. Mary's probably 40 minutes at the most. So
Oh
when you
wow.
go to Mount, you go to the Mount. Let us know. We'll join
Definitely.
your posse of 30 people that you have up there. But other than that, yeah, just looking forward to seeing you have a great second year.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So here's my last question I want to ask. So we've asked you some of these things before, like your favorite movies, food, blah blah blah. Now, I wanted to ask you this. What about and we've asked folks like, oh, if you had a superpower. Now, instead of me asking you what superhero you would be or what superpower you would want to have, what is your current superpower? And what I mean by that is, what did you do that's extraordinary and it's like better than the regular average person? And I'll give you an example for me. For me, my superpower would be directions, like knowing how to get around. And if I've been here, I know how to get there again. And the example is that my in fact, before GPS was out, my nickname, and it still is, my brother, my wife, my sister-in-law, my parents, they call me Roadmap. They're like, how do you, that's my nickname, Roadmap. Like, I can remember just how to go places, and how to, take this road. Oh, this, like, and my wife, if she could still get lost right now going to her job, which she's gone to for a number of years. Like, she could just make the wrong turn and go, oh, but like, I'll be like, how did you not know how to get to Walmart? Like, but no, like, I'll, if I go to Albany or I'll go to Siena one time, I'm like, I know how to get there.
Mhm.
So that's my superpower. What freaky superpower does Alden have?
Okay, well, when you first asked it, I like thought of like a deep one, but then you mentioned the roadmap thing, and I was like, maybe maybe not something not so deep. Okay. I think I'm like, okay.
Is it annoying your siblings or
You know,
anything?
my brother would say that that is my super jet power. If you ask him. Um, I take a lot of pride in like my car karaoke,
Okay.
I would
Okay.
say. I feel like I'm pretty good at like remembering lyrics. I'll just go like put a song on, I'll just go bar for bar in the passenger seat. Sometimes when I'm driving, like gotta stay focused on the road. But shoot, man, we'll have some full concerts in the car. Like I just
Uh,
become I become the artist, I become Drake. I become Kendrick,
uh,
you know? Um,
But do you worry that when you're in the car that other people around you will see you, or are you just oblivious to that?
oh, I hope they do see me. Like I'm in my
yeah,
element.
Okay.
I hope they record me and it goes viral. Like, I hope, yeah, windows down and
yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool. I thought you were gonna say your superpower was hitting threes, but that would be too obvious. We all know you
Yeah,
can do
we're
that.
not, I don't know if it's superpower level yet. Gotta stay in the gym, so
Yeah. Well, compared to Kirk and mines, it's a
yeah,
superpower.
maybe.
yeah, yeah. All right. No, this has been a lot of fun, Alden. I am so glad we got to have you on.
Yeah, thank you.
And you have like crazy great personality. You've got game.
Thank
You're
you.
smart. And we, again, I'm very proud of you. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to do it or not yet, but you should look into going into public speaking and going around. I don't know if you've done, like, go to talk to elementary or middle school athletes, because I think you have a lot of great things to say, and if you
Thank
could share
you.
that wisdom, it would be awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think that major is a good change for you, by the way.
Yeah, I definitely, so my goal is to, after college, play overseas for a little bit, but then I really just want to get into coaching, like stay in basketball. So, however I can like give back,
That'd be
that's my
great.
goal.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
come back
Let's give it.
here, I know you want to probably be a college or WNBA, but if you come back here and you coach high school, just let me be the old man assistant coach. I'll
Oh
help.
yeah,
Like this,
on the
I
payroll, but like doesn't do
oh yeah,
much.
yeah, I'll pay to actually be there. Like, I'll write a big check,
Yeah.
to the school,
Yeah.
or
Okay, great.
to you, and I'll just be the one. Like, you can be good cop, I'll be bad cop, and they will
Oh,
hate me
perfect.
because I'm really good at being bad cop when
Great.
I
Okay.
coach.
Sounds good.
All right.
Let's just make sure Mount St. Mary's.
Yeah, no, I
Let's
got
go up there and the Mount. What is that? Emmitsburg. Yeah,
you.
definitely. And that's a nice arena too. I do know that.
It is, yeah.
We look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, no, that'd be super fun.
Yeah, and then Alden, any last things you want to say or share or give a shout out to anybody?
Just shout out my team. You can catch us on ESPN Plus. All our games are streamed on there. And I just encourage, if maybe you're not a big women's basketball fan, I just encourage you to watch. WNBA's season going on right now, so just
Yeah.
Get out. A lot of great athletes. So, and yeah, just thank you guys for having me on again. This was super fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to your sophomore year. Y'all, she's got crazy game, mad skills. Now I don't say that about everybody. So, I mean, it is fun. What? Not seeing your Caitlin Clark. I think you're better. Just give you a little time, but your game is very similar. So it's
Thank you.
a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it next year. So yeah, thanks again for joining the show. And so for Alden, my co-host Kirk, this has been the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are